Hello, guys. Welcome back into the Wings Mobile Detailing podcast. And today we do have a special guest, Luke, from the Wilson Auto Detailing YouTube channel. If you're a detailer and you know YouTube, you probably have watched his videos, training videos on detailing. Today, the topic we're covering is going to be in the business, and we're going to learn a lot of things from Luke. How this new millennium is actually taking education to a whole new level. Everything's done on demand, everything's done online, and no better person in this industry to learn from than Luke and his YouTube channel. So, if you still haven't recognized, I'm going to play a nice introduction with his YouTube videos, and you're going to recognize right away.
In this video, we're going to talk about how to restore really bad headlights. In this video, we are going to be talking foam cannons. Are they effective? Let's get straight into it.
Thank you so much, man, for accepting the invite, man.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be here.
Awesome. And I'm gonna ask you some questions because I've always been curious, man, to see how you started, the business. And what was your story? I read some about you on YouTube, and I saw some that you started detailing. And then 5 years later, in 2017, that you started YouTube.
Yep, that's about right.
And tell me, and were you still in school when you started back then? And when you started the business before the YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I was pretty young when I started the business itself. I was 13, and so it wasn't what it is now, of course. But yeah, when I was 13, I started and probably would be better characterized as like a car cleaning business rather than an auto detailing business. So I just did really simple things around the neighborhood that I lived in. And then probably the long story short, the more interesting version is just over time, particularly through high school. Word just really started to get around the city that I lived in. And I started to just get a lot of clients from the teachers that I had in the school that I was in high school, and to everybody around neighborhoods, all my friends' parents. And in high school, it really started to grow. And then when I was in college, particularly freshman year of college, I had built it up into a fairly large detailing business with about anywhere fluctuating between 300 and 500 regular clients. And then, of course, we had, a lot of influx from people who, were just regular. We had kind of what I would call a regular funnel of new clients as well. And so in college, I've always loved business and entrepreneurship. And so in college, I really wanted to build out a business that was not necessarily tied solely to the detailing aspect. And I really like to teach. So, yeah, that's where I started the YouTube stuff. So that's where that started. Yeah.
So pretty much you actually that's how I was with the business as well. I didn't necessarily, because some guys start detailing because they just love cars. They just love doing that itself. And some other people actually like the style of the business. Is that more to the reason you started detailing was more related to how the style of the business?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. People always say that a lot of times people say you really need to be passionate about what you're doing. And I get what they're saying, I think. But yeah, I'd say I probably really am passionate about business and building something significant. And detailing ended up being a great avenue that I really liked and that I was good at, and that over time built up into something, into a sort of critical mass, big business. And so, yeah, I think that's probably a good way to look at it. You're right. I don't know if I wake up every day and think, man, I live and breathe detailing, but I do really love to detail. I really enjoy it. I really like it. I really love all of the learning that comes with it. But yeah, I'm probably really more specifically passionate about entrepreneurship and business and building things that really have a lot of influence.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and you actually show me, like, when I'm seeing your videos, you show the passion that you have to teach, to showing the guys and the business itself. You can tell the difference when a guy's real.
Yeah,
That's why you
yeah.
do it well, also,
Thank you. I
because
appreciate that.
that's really you can really see. And so you started more in the passions. That's how I started too, man. Similar, with the
Yeah,
detailing. I was passionate about the style the business was run. You don't have to start with a big overhead. So overall, it was a
right.
and doing detailing itself is fun, actually. It's
Yeah, it is.
you're
You're
learning
right.
the new things. There's always before and after, right?
Definitely. No, yeah, it's like I definitely really like detailing. If I go too many
Uh-huh.
days without detailing, I feel like I need to like get in my garage and kind of work with my
Yeah.
hands and do some stuff, you know?
Yeah, get your head out there on. But that's
Yeah.
awesome. And at the beginning, that the regular, you said that you started with a list of regular clients. So you're already building up a business from there, as far as like you're already uh building up the follow up process for those clients to stick in your calendar. So we were not only depending on new clients.
Yeah, I think when I was at some point I kind of you I think probably in any business that you build um in the beginning especially, in many ways you're putting in say like 80% of your resources and 80% of your efforts, and you're only getting 20% results. And at some point in any business, I think there comes a point of just probably out of necessity where you say, okay, we're at a point now where it no longer makes sense to continue doing things the way we've always done it, simply
Mm-hmm.
because we're putting in all of this effort on the front end, but it's really resulting in not a lot of results. And so we're not optimizing for what we could be optimizing for. And so that's kind of where I saw, say, in the auto detailing business specifically, I was asking myself the question, if my whole business is built on uh, if my whole business is built on depending on new customers to come in, then I'm constantly having to put out this effort of not only getting those customers, but also selling them and building trust with them and explaining to
Mm-hmm.
them why I charge what I charge. And it's a lot of effort on the front end to get a new customer, relative to not getting a new customer. And so at some point I thought, you know, if I switched my priorities here and rather than just depended on new customers, I started to build what I would call a kind of self-filling machine where I have customers that just come back to me on a regular basis, and that's what my business is built on. Then not only do you SERP the curve of having to sell yourself, having to explain the value, educate the customer, all of these things, but you also have this dependable, predictable cash flow that is going to come in, and it's not variable. And when you
Mm-hmm.
have that, when you can predict your time and you can predict your revenue, you can leverage things in a way that is makes way more sense and is way more optimized for growth than say somebody who's building in the beginning stages and having to get new customers. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's probably a long way to say that, but that's why it became such a priority for me, because I knew that would be the way to really scale profitability in this
Yeah.
business. Yeah.
That's a very good point, man. Because I think people in any business too, and I love like how you talk on your YouTube videos, that when you're talking about the auto detailing business, it, it's it's in any business, it's related to any business. So
Right.
business is business,
Right.
and just like you said, when you can expect, when you can see what the work that you put in, how you're gonna get back, you know. And I think
Right.
with time, people are uh, there is a point where we can learn, and when we know the work at the beginning, it's harder. So at the beginning, we never know. We just work. I more for the money at the beginning, and then we actually work
Yeah.
for the vision.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there is a point that you can actually, like you said, I think you can actually really tell. Um, okay, this is what it takes for me to get there. This is what it takes for me to
Right.
uh,
think in ways that you wouldn't normally think in, just going throughout the day, and you start connecting dots that you hadn't connected before, and reaching back into information that you read before and pulling it and applying it in, a certain context here. And yeah, I think that's really what learning, where real learning, happens, is that kind
That's
of
really
thing. So
awesome, man. That's awesome because
yeah.
when I see a successful business guy like yourself, and then I see, okay, I'm a big advocate towards reading, and some people they start to read and they get tired. They don't want to read because when you're reading at
Yeah.
first, it's hard for you to see the result of it. You're like, "Ah, it's
Hmm.
not working, man." But then you read one after another. Past 8 months goes by and you see the results,
That's
and
right. Yeah.
you can really tell afterwards, like, oh man, it's because of this, because of the books.
Yes,
So that's
definitely.
that's really interesting, man. I always how relatable it is, like books to when you see a successful businessman, they're growing and
Yeah.
passionate.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's difficult to it's difficult to do things that you don't see the immediate payoff for. Um, and that's
Yeah.
probably one of those things. You don't know exactly how the payoff is going to come or when, and so it's probably why most people don't do things like that, I'd say.
Yeah, that's true. They're more like in the short term, easy
Right,
gain,
right.
easy
Yeah,
return.
definitely,
And
definitely.
going back a bit for your videos and your story, Luke. Um, so what year did you say was 2013 that you when you were 13 years old that you actually started doing
Yeah,
detailing with
so
referrals?
yeah, so when I was 13, I started, just the basic, most fundamental detailing business you could possibly start. And then, over when I was about 16, that grew into, I started expanding things a bit more, and as far as tools, products, all that sort of stuff. And then when I was 19, is when, well, let's see, 19, yeah, when I was 19, and then that was in 20, let's just say in 2017, that's when I started the online side of my business. Um, just because, you know, it's interesting when you read, well, I don't know if this is your question or not, but I'll just answer your question simply. Yes, when
No, go
in
ahead,
20,
man.
yeah, well, in 2019 is when I started the online stuff. And um, it's interesting, if you read, like if you're a reader, and you read a lot about history or things like that, a lot of times history is kind of like a distillation of the most exciting things that happened, and the most fundamental shifts that happened. And so it can be really exciting reading it, because you're not getting bored by all of the things that were not important or exciting. Um, in the same way, kind of like if you watch a movie being filmed, watching the movie being filmed over a year is really uninteresting. But when you watch the movie after it's filmed and edited, that hour and a half, that's a really exciting thing. It's because it's just the main points. And in a lot of ways, I think the reason I started the online stuff is because, probably, when you're living in a really important time in history, you don't really realize that it's a really important time in history. But
Uh-huh.
in 10 years, they're going to look back and say, oh my gosh, this was a really important time. Why didn't more people see what was happening? And it's like, well, because when you're living in it, it seems really mundane and boring. But when you look back and you go, wow, that brought this huge shift. And so that was kind of the online stuff. It was, I like to
When you
teach and all that stuff,
I'm
but go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you, look, but when you mean the online, when you started the YouTube video, and you're saying
Yeah.
that there was like a reason beyond teaching detailing, is that the reason?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying is, um, you know, YouTube, we're kind of, so the point I'm making really is that when you live in a moment in time, everything seems very normal, because it's just the way your life has always been. So like for us, of course, when we were younger, social media didn't exist, but when I was, 15, 16, social media really started to get on the rise. And
Yeah.
um, but it still felt kind of just normal. But when I was 19, I really was thinking about it, and I was thinking a lot about YouTube. And um, what's so interesting about YouTube is that while yes, you can watch funny cat videos and all that stuff, but what's really interesting is that it's really the first time in history where you can search for a specific answer,
Mm-hmm.
get a specific answer to the question you're asking immediately, and it's completely free, and there's no barrier of entry. And that is a really interesting thing because that is
It's amazing to
completely
think
new.
about.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it's really overwhelming, and that really is captivating to me.
Mm-hmm.
That is unbelievable to me. The thought that is how we're living right now. And so that's why I say I got into the online stuff, because while yes, I love detailing, and again, like I definitely am passionate about detailing, and of course that's why I built the business I built and I'm still building. But um, what's really even crazier to me is the fundamental shifts that are happening in education right now. We're living in a time where student loan debt is the highest it's ever been. Tuition is the highest it's ever been. And I think you could probably make a strong argument to say that degrees from accredited institutions are in many ways losing the value that they once had.
Totally.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think it takes a genius to look at those ingredients and say, okay, how is this going to come out after it gets put in the oven?
Yeah.
And so that's really why I love the online education space, because I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that online education is going to be a sort of net that catches this huge fallout that we're going to see from students who refuse to take this traditional route of education because
Mm-hmm.
of all of the barriers that are now in their way that weren't there 25 years ago. So anyway,
That's true. That's so that no, that's awesome, Luke. I mean, that's to think about it, it's a blessing what we have in our the moment we're living now. And I wasn't sure if it was like wh- who it was like a really successful guy business, or Elon Musk himself. Guys, I always bring up his example. It's funny because on my podcast, like, um, really inspiring, and he talks about it how we're living in a moment where even for his company, he's not looking for a piece of paper and degree, because he knows that people can learn
right,
anything on the internet.
right,
uh,
right. Yeah,
and
that's
that,
exactly right.
and that's awesome that you are being part of it, or being part of because the way you do your videos, for example, you're really teaching that. And it's so easy for people to go there and learn. Anybody can go there and learn whatever trade. and
Right.
and it's from an actually good source, because YouTube does that process of separating, okay, which one's good and which one's bad. And then
Yep.
watching your videos, for example, they are really informative. You can actually learn detail. I learned so many things from from the detailing videos that you did.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
YouTube does that part of separating, just like in college, like what are the best teachers, what are the school
yeah,
with not so good teachers, but you have
yeah.
to pay.
That's right. Yeah, that's the beauty of the free market. It's
Hmm.
you're going to naturally see a sort of separation between the good, bad, and the ugly, and inevitably, the cream is going to rise to the top, and the people who are putting out information that is being implemented by other people and working, that person in many ways is going to be elevated, and the people who are not doing that are going to fall behind. And so that is part of why I love this sort of no barrier of entry education system that's happening, because you know it's really the best information wins. And in a school
Yes.
system, in many ways, the most qualified person is the one who gets to teach, but it doesn't mean that they're the best teacher. It just means they have a lot of letters after their name. And while I'm not while I'm not against extending your education from a sort of formal
Right.
institution, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's just an interesting thing to me. I have a college degree. I double majored, and I was pre-med actually for the first 2 years of college. I really wanted to go to med school, and I switched just because I knew that I didn't want to be a
Oh,
doctor
uh-huh.
after I shadowed a lot of doctors. And it was just interesting. I could point to, out of the, say, what, 50 teachers, maybe, I guess, after
Mm-hmm.
out of the maybe 40 professors that I had in college, I could probably name two or three that were really, really great. And the other 37 were really, really average. And
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, I think.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were actually med school. Was that around that you decided to make the transition from full-time school and full-time did you already make that transition away from the full-time school and just your full-time business?
Yeah. So I 2 years into college, I was majoring in biology and minoring in chemistry, and
Mhm.
then I 2 years in, I had shadowed a couple different doctors and talked to them pretty intensely just about the whole process, and I just came to the conclusion that um, I really wasn't passionate about medicine. I was more passionate about um, maybe doing something that was difficult to do and that could result in, building something bigger than myself.
Uh-huh.
But I had a doctor tell me, who I really trust, who just said, the road to being a medical professional is way too long and way too hard and way too expensive if you're not
Mhm.
really passionate about medicine. And that's what really made me say, I'm really not passionate about medicine. I'm passionate about business. I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. I love teaching and I love learning, but I'm not passionate about
Mhm.
medicine. And so that's when I switched, and that's where I really went full time in, particularly the online side of my business. For the first probably like 7 to 8 months of YouTube, I posted a video every single day. And so I'd be up at 6:45, 7 a.m. I'd go to school. Then I'd go to my clients' houses. I'd detail and I'd video. Then I'd come home and I would edit and then post till about 1 to 1:30 in the morning, and then do that again. And that lasted for about the first 8 months. And that was, in a lot of ways, what really helped everything grow. I don't know
Mhm.
if things would have grown as they did if I wouldn't have done that. And so, um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what
That's
in
amazing,
doing
man.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, in doing it, I really realized how incredible this all was, and that this is way bigger than YouTube videos. This is
Mhm.
we're talking about a fundamental shift that's happening in a system that has been the same for the last 75 years. I mean, this is really crazy.
Yeah, I totally see it as well, man. And some people watch that and see, okay, he's showing how to do detailing in whatever other industry, but as you said, it's like it's a shift. It's the shift in the educational system, and that's what's
Right.
gonna be there in the future. It's not much about like, oh, get your degree, get your 9 to 5 job. No, like, and
Right.
you're being part of that. You're being part of teach this new uh generation of being part of this new system.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well, it's really perfect with detailing just because detailing is kind of considered like a trade. It's not considered like you don't go to school, you don't go to a 4 year university for detailing, right? And so detailing, it's interesting. You're seeing a lot of, say, online courses or educational things come out in industries that are largely industries, because trade industries are in a big way, kind of already decentralized and kind of unregulated, for somebody to go be a mechanic. It's like, yes, there is a specific technical school that he can go to for 2 years or so to learn to become a mechanic. But many of these guys go and apprentice someone who's really skilled
Yeah.
in whatever trade they're in. And so it's a perfect um, first step for the online education world to get into these trade industries,
Hands
because they're,
on, right?
yes, exactly, hands-on
Mhm.
things that you could apprentice someone through a video. And it's just icing on the cake that these industries in large part are really deregulated, really decentralized, because once again, you know, people aren't going to make a course about, communicate. It's like you're going to go to a 4-year degree to get a communications degree, but you're probably not going to buy an online course to get a communications degree, but to learn something very practical and something that you might apprentice somebody for. That is such a great entry for the online education world, just because it is something that is already deregulated, and it's something that can be done without
Mhm.
necessarily being one-on-one in person at every step of the way.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
And then with your w- w- it sounds to me that you're getting more deep into the education, more deeper than you are. You mentioned at the beginning that you are in the process of building something. Uh, are you able to give a sneak peek of what it is? Is it some online separate
Yeah.
website or?
Yeah. So, you know, at I've been thinking about this for a long time now. Um, I've probably been thinking about online education um, since the beginning of like 2018. Um, I actually I had purchased a certain type of online course, I think at the beginning of 2018, and it really revolutionized my business. It really changed things, and it was incredible. Um, and one of the things, kind of like we were talking about, in the beginning, just from a business point of view, one of the things that as you move forward in business, you kind of have to think about is, in many ways, the things that you did that brought you to where you are not going to be the things that take you to other places that you want to go. And you have to shift, and you have to change, and you have to try new things. And one of the things that I was really analyzing, um, particularly at the beginning of this year, 2020, was just, I really wanted to create a course because I love to teach, and I know it would be really, really great. Um, because I just know the kind of information we could put into it. But one of the things that was kind of holding me back was just the fact that this is a kind of new environment. And so people are pretty skeptical of it, which I understand why. Because, of course, as with anything, you're going to have people who come in who are kind of, con artists, right? But that
Mhm.
happens in every industry, right? It's like there are some doctors who really suck, and you shouldn't get surgery done from them. But that doesn't mean all doctors suck. So
Right.
um, I kind of had to get over that and say, okay, hey, if I create this, I'm going to create this, and it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to be a great product. And I'm not going to have to worry about, something like the reputation of my business being tarnished or something like that, because it's going to be a really good product. So when I got over that, um, I was kind of analyzing my online side of my business, and I was thinking, essentially what we've done is built we have essentially built an education business for the past 3 years through video content. But the
Mhm.
only thing is, we've given all of it away for free. And
Mhm.
that was a great strategy. That was a great strategy for the last 3 years. And it's going to be a great strategy moving forward. Like, we're going to continue to give away a ton of content for free. I mean, I post a YouTube video every other day during the summertime. It's all free. But the question is, maybe not a question, but rather an observation that can be made is, we have on a daily basis probably anywhere between 10 and 30 messages from email, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, of young guys saying, Luke, will you please help me build this business? I want to do it. I know I can. I just don't know where to start or how to build in the beginning or exactly how to get maintenance clients. I don't know how to do those things. So we
Mhm.
just said, you know what? We're going to build out an all-encompassing, all-in-one course that has two main sections. One is going to be hands-on detailing, which is literally how to detail a car, which goes through step by step by step by step, every part of the interior, every part of the exterior, products to buy, strategies to use, products not to buy, tools not to buy, tools to buy. I mean, we go through all of it. And then the second major section is going to be the business section. And so when you walk through this course, you're going to know not only how to detail a car, but you're also
Mhm.
going to know how to profitably implement the skills you learned and turn it into an actual business that produces cash flow, namely through building a big list of maintenance clients or regular clients, just like we did. So you're not constantly depending on new customers. So that's the heart of
Mhm.
this online course. And detailing works as such a great industry to do this in, because I don't really see anyone doing this, at least in the way that I'm talking about it. Certainly there are other detailers who have courses and things like that, but I think we're not so worried about other people doing it. We're more worried about, we want to build the best products there are. We want to build incredible products that deliver on the results that they are claiming to bring, and we want it to be different. We want it to be
Mhm.
very different, and really, um, maybe that's probably the best way to say it. We want it to be the
Right.
best product, and we want it to be very different. So we're not worried about competition or worried about what other people are doing. We're worried about what we're doing and how
Mhm.
we're doing it, and we want to make sure that it's incredible. And so that's really what this course is. But yes, that's why it's so exciting, because I do think that we're going to start seeing a lot of this happening in a lot of different industries, and this is really just the beginning.
That's awesome, Luke, and that's so true. I analyze similar to what you're saying there. Especially in the industry of detailing, you have people showing how to do that, how to actually detail to do the technical part. And in other industries, you see that you can learn actually how to become a real estate agent, how to start the business, how to do with clients. But there's not of that related to the detailing business, which is an
Yes,
amazing business. It's profitable. You start off with low overhead, and the profit margin is higher. The
exactly.
fulfillment, actually, the excitement when you're doing that type of business. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, you go through headaches, so you have to have the passion there. I believe that you have to have the passion entrepreneurship, otherwise the setbacks that will come, you may
Definitely.
not be able to go through those. But overall, the style of business itself, compared to not to bash on any type of business industries, but like restaurant, you have to sometimes put 10 times more work 10 times harder on something that, unless you have the passion for that, then you go far. If you don't, it's a difficult business. and
Right.
and I see how you're showing on detailing, man. Like, you're getting to that education part. You're really good at educating people on how to do that, showing, kind of leading the way. So that's I'm really glad to hear that. I really
Well, I appreciate that. I think yeah, everything you're saying is really dead on. That's I think we're going to, like we said, I think we're going to see a lot of really negative consequences from this sort of student loan debt thing that we're seeing, and the sort of degradation of the college degree. Um, I think that we are just at the beginning of some really serious negative consequences that are going to start falling out from this pattern we've caught ourselves in. I'm very grateful that, I happen to be born at this time in history,
yeah,
in this
yeah,
place, with this particular business. Um, it would seem
yeah.
that all the dominoes lined up.
That, yeah, there you go, man. It's a moment in history that's amazing to be part of, and it is hard work to be part of. It's not just easier than it is to go to a college, because the amount of work and
Mhm.
setbacks you have to go through.
Mhm.
uh but you can there's no you can learn from it. If you really want that, you can go after it.
Mhm.
And the selection
Definitely.
process is really fair in this new area, because if you want to be great at something, you have to work hard, and if you do work hard, you get there. And
Definitely.
I even tell that to actually the guys who's starting, uh let's say, Wings Mobile Detailing locations. I'm not the perfect guy to teach, and I gravitate these guys towards your videos as well. Go towards, there's Grant Cardone University. I'm not sure if you know
Mhm.
about Grant.
Yep.
And because you're getting a different industry, you're getting not only the industry of detailing, but industry of educating people. And especially in this area, this is amazing, to
Yeah.
take on. You're getting the combination of both great, tools. People can use these two to grow their business, grow their
Mhm.
franchise, or grow their whatever they are starting with. It's really helpful. Thank you for so much, man, for the sneak preview that you're that you
Yeah,
gave
no
out.
problem. Thanks for
Looking
asking.
forward to seeing more, your growth, and what you're doing in detailing. Are you still posting videos? Do you say you post videos twice a week on the
Yeah,
YouTube?
I post on YouTube right now during the summertime. I post every other day, so
Hmm.
once every other day. So that's 3 to 4 times a week. And then on Instagram, I'm pretty much posting every single day. So yeah, if you're interested in detailing, or you want to kind of get a taste of what some of that looks like, there's a lot of information in all of those videos.
Awesome, Luke. Man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate your time, and um, I know you got a lot of more success ahead of you. We both
We'll
do.
see.
We're gonna be doing that, and can't wait to
Yeah.
see all the new stuff that are coming. So it's really amazing, man, to have you on the podcast. Of watch your video for many years, and then now I'm finally
Well,
getting
thank
to.
you very much for watching. I'm really grateful that people like you know, enjoy it and get value out of it, and are doing your own thing that's really great, and building something really fantastic, and using tools like
Mhm.
this online education that we're talking about to really ratchet up what you're doing in a
It
really
is
big way.
great, man.
That's what makes me really excited.
I'm glad,
Yeah.
and I'll keep in touch. I definitely want to talk to you more. And but thank you so much for your time, man. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.